Bright blessings, everybody. Lady Leeanna here with another edition of Wicca for today. And today I wanted to talk to you about the Esbats. Now, I'm not going to go very deep into the Sabbats. That's for another video entirely. Maybe my very next, okay? But today I wanted to talk about the Esbats, and just knowing what the Esbats are, it will help you to not be so confused between those and the Sabbats. Now, I don't mind telling you right off the gate, the Sabbats are your solar celebrations and rituals and festivities that transpire within the daytime. They're your holidays, equivalent to the Christian holidays that you already know of. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about those for now. But your Esbats are your 13 nights of the full moon that transpire within the year. Okay? And a lot of you might say, but there's only 12 months within the year. Yes, that is true, but there are 13 full moons. Okay? And I'm going to tell you what those names are that correspond with each of those full moon, okay? And just listen closely, because this is actually very good information, and this is actually the best information I found on this on the internet in a long time. You know, the closest, to truth. Now, there are many different cultures with many different names for each full moon night. But these are the highest average, okay? But now, January, you have the wolf moon. Alright? January is the wolf moon. February, ice or storm moon. March is your chaste moon. Okay? April is your seed or growing moon. May is your hare moon, like in the rabbit. Peep, peep. Okay, your hare moon. Okay. June is your mead moon, like the ale. Okay. Alright. July is your hay moon. August is your corn moon. September is your harvest moon. October is your blood moon, and some call it, a lot of people call it the hunter's moon today. November is your snow moon. In December, your oak or cold moon. Alright? Now, these are the 12 first, but you say, alright, but there's 13 moons. Well, the 13th moon is called the blue moon. A lot of you may know that. A lot of you may not. But it's also a moon for setting goals. It's a time to put everything in order that you want to do for the year. A time to decide what your tasks are going to be through the year. And you give it to the lady in ritual at night on that full moon. Either giving it to the fire or giving it to the earth. Or some people will write it on a flag and stream it through the air. Or float it down a river on a little makeshift boat or a leaf. There are many different ways you can give it to the lady on these nights. But they each have their particular task involved with them. The main theme here is that your 13 nights of the full moons, they're supposed to be a more personal time. Now, there are light celebrations that transpire of the lady, of the goddess, during these full moons. There are light celebrations and rituals that transpire in larger groups. They may have big celebrations, but most of the time you find people just doing personal things, because these are very empowering moons. These are very strong moons, and a lot of people will say that the witch is weak and vulnerable at this time, but I say no. the witch is strong in these times. Now, we do use these moons to recharge ourselves, but that's because it's so powerful. And of course, the earth, the goddess, the universe, it has more energy and power than what we do. And so we're going to use these moons to recharge. We're going to use these moons to do the spell works that we've been waiting on all month, that we desperately need to do, because they are to help us in our daily lives with tasks of family or money or health or whatever, you know. And these moons, they each have their own attributes, and we use them for these attributes so that we keep that particular field or area of our life in perspective of itself, you know. But it's definitely a powerful moon. It's a moon to be used to do all your much needed workings, and a lot of witches will save a lot of their workings for these moons and wipe out 2-3 different spell works in one night. And that's on the night, the next night of the full moon. And now you don't have to use the moon corresponding to the spell work you need to do. The full moon, by the way, is what I'm talking about. You don't have to do money on, say, the harvest moon or whatever. You can do that on any of the other full moons, because all of these moons are so powerful. Okay? But a lot of people do prefer to use the corresponding moon to that work. Me, I'm kind of generic and eclectic that way. I feel that it's a strong moon, and I'm going to take advantage of that for whatever working I have need of. I mean, it's all tied in together. I mean, you know, I have to be well and healthy to be able to embark on financial ventures, put myself out there strongly to be able to make the money, or I need to be able to make money to buy the medicines or get the herbs that I need to actually heal myself. So, I mean, it all ties in together anyway. So I really, you know, I respect what a lot of other witches say. I respect their beliefs and everything. I respect how they feel about it. But I feel my way about things, and this is the way I feel. That you can use whatever full moon you need to do whatever spell work you have to do, you know. Now, if you do have a need that comes up in the same month that corresponds with the next moon, then by all means, wait until that moon hits, but plan your, you know, time up till then to get it right, so that you feel good about it whenever it's done. Now, I'm not a person that says, okay, you know what, I've got to put this ritual together and I've got to get every word right and not screw up ever. I'm a person that says, you know what, hey, okay, let's do this. Let's relax so that we do it as close to right as possible. But I'm going to focus more on how much energy and will and love and emotion I'm going to put into that, more than how much I'm going to construct the words as being right, or, you know, watch my step to where I'm not making any mistakes, because that's show to me. That's really about the show. And we don't want to go there with that. We want to use these moons constructively, because whenever we're done, no matter how much we messed up, how empowered we feel after all of this is done, because of the working that we actually did, is going to be what feels right whenever it's said and done. You know, instead of finishing the ritual and say, okay, now, did I accidentally stumble in front of Barbara over there? Or did I say the wrong word in this place? Well, you know what? Whenever it's said and done, do you think that that really matters to the goddess? The god or goddess, if you're in other rituals that are to do with both or whatever. You know, no, they're not thinking about that. They know what is in your heart, and you do too. Whether old Barbara over there is, you know, giggling to herself because you almost tripped and fell, well, that just means that you got into a circle where the energy wasn't corresponding to itself. Everybody wasn't on the right page together, and you probably had some pretty negative energy, you know, while doing this ritual within your circle, and that's never a good thing. But, you know, your rituals that correspond with the full moons are very powerful rituals. They are a personal thing that you've got to do for yourself. And you may sometimes, if somebody is in a real desperate need, somebody is real ill, use those moons to heal other people or to help a needy person draw the money they need or whatever. You know, and that's okay. That's good. You're giving of, you know, your moon to that other person, and that's a very beautiful thing to do. But as far as your initiations and things of that nature, you would do those mainly on the new moon anyway. But people that are not well practiced within witchcraft or Wicca, they may prefer to do personal solitary rituals between just them and the god and goddess, or just the goddess, or just the god, or whatever, you know. But your larger entities don't feel downtrodden or held back if they tell you that you can't participate within certain rituals that transpire on the full moon night, because they're just being very cautious as to, first off, who is in their circle. They want everybody to be on the right page together. And, you know, it's a very powerful ritual. People cannot be looking out for you, you know, and try to do what they've got to do also. You know, me, personally, I feel that everybody is welcome into my ritual circles. The new people need that energy as much as I do. And it's all about sharing your circle with everybody. That's me personally. If I'm running a group, and I have many times throughout the past, everyone that was new, everyone that was old, was welcome to participate within that circle, even though it was usually at midnight. Even though it was about everything being empowered by the full moon, you know, because everybody could use that power, everybody could use that energy. Everybody has a need to fulfill. And so that's the way I feel about it, you know. But there are those that disagree with me. But that's, I mean, that's their thing altogether. Anyway, so your full moon nights are your Esbats. They are the times when you set aside to do all your big, hard-hitting workings. And you have festivals or festivities that go on these. Not typically so much as in the Sabbats, which are your festivals and your rituals that transpire within the daytime. You know, most of your celebrations are going to go on in your daytime festivities. Full moon nights are your very powerful nights to draw energy and to use that for your needs. Now, as I've said, all of these have a name for them, and I've given you those names. You can always go back and look at those, so I'm not going to say them again. But now I'm going to tell you what each of these moon nights are for. Okay? January is the time to conserve your energy by working on personal problems that involve no one else. It is also a time for protection rites and reversing spells. Okay. Now, yes, I am reading this because I am not scripted on my channel. You know, I guess this is my script, and I'll do this occasionally. You'll have to forgive me, but I like to give you the best knowledge and wisdom that I can find possible, okay? But anyway, your January is the time to conserve energy by working on personal problems that involve no one else. It is also a time for protection rites and reversing spells. During this month, the energy flow is very sluggish and below the surface. Okay, so really and truthfully, you want to conserve your energy. You want to work on personal problems. pull up from depression, try to charge. So your first moon would be really a good moon for charging up, trying to get into a better place. Because, you know, we all, and I'm not reading this off the net on this as I say this, but throughout the wintertime we all get really sluggish. With the goddess we all die back a little bit. We lose a lot of energy, we go into slow-mo, you know. And so it's quite understandable where they're saying in January, use the moon to pull up, to get well, to get powerful, you know, use it just for charging. Work on your personal issues or problems, wherever it may deal with depression and so forth, okay? Come up out of that, you know, use that moon, January's full moon, to come up out of depression. February is a time for loving the self. This is like the next stage of coming up out of depression. You need to now start lavishing yourself with flower baths and things of beauty, going and getting a haircut, picking out new clothes, forgiving yourself for any mistakes that you've made in the past. At this time, the energy flow is working toward the surface. It's coming up. Along with spring, it's trying to break through all of it. You know, at this time the energy flow is working toward the surface, good for purification, growth, and healing. Okay? So just kind of from January on through February, go through your depression, come up, start coming to terms with who you are, healing any problems that you've had, you know. Use January for charging and coming up out of a sick phase, slow, sleepy, tired. Come up out of the dead, you know. February, start lavishing yourself, forgiving yourself, healing yourself, and coming up into a more powerful green area of life, you know, to where you're feeling a lot better. Let's see. Make future plans and stuff like that. Okay? March is a time for new beginnings, breaking illusion, seeing the truth in your life, however much it may hurt, facing truths within yourself, facing your own faults or your own negativities, things that perhaps you need to work on in yourself. Face those things, go through a little downtime in it, you know, throughout that month, and on the moon, give it away. You know, also evaluate the light and dark halves of yourself. Okay? Alright, that's a good thing for you to do. We all have a light side and a dark side, and I'm going to do that in a video very soon to come also. Alright? Now, paying attention to your light and dark side in March. You know, trying to balance out. April. April is the time for working on your temper, emotional flare-ups, anger, selfishness. Okay? The energy is flowing into creating and producing, just as in the earth, as we know. April, it's springing forth life everywhere, left and right. Everybody's having babies. Every animal and critter on earth is coming up, surfacing with babies. Foliage is coming out of the woodwork. A good time for change, self-confidence issues. Working on yourself, your self-consciousness, your lack of faith in yourself. Work on getting rid of all of that. Better yourself. Do things that will help you to pull up within this time, okay? Realizing self-alliance, you know. Okay. May is the time for strengthening the connections with supernatural protectors and beings around you. Getting in touch with the spirit world, with the fae, the fairies, your ghosts. I mean, getting in touch with fellow Wiccans, practitioners of all different faiths or paths. It's a time to really start focusing on celebration and happiness, joy and contentment. You know, the energy is flowing at this time for intuition, propagating and connecting with fairies and nature spirits, like I just said. Okay, so use that time for getting in touch with your pixies, your elves, your woodland creatures, and so forth. You know, use this time for that, and look for fairy rings and the shrooms around you and all of that. You know, get in touch with your nature spirits. It's very important. Um, Also, it's a good time for finding your animal spirit, the one that belongs with you and wants to run with you, or getting in touch with your shape-shifting side of things. All grounds for new videos later on in the future, okay? But we'll get there eventually. Okay, June is the time for decision-making, taking responsibilities for present happenings, working on personal inconsistencies. I guess what they mean there is personal balances, disagreements within yourself, self-confliction, how you feel about things, coming to terms with which way you want to go on whatever. And for strengthening and rewarding yourself for your positive traits. The energy is in full, but restive. Kind of drawing back, taking everything in, learning, but resting. Flow. The tides are flowing, making this a good time for protection spells, strengthening spells, and prevention spells. Okay? And that was June. July is the time for dream work, divination, and meditation. For all you psychics out there, for all you people that wish to become more psychic or get in touch with that, July is the month for you. Time for dream work, divination, and meditation on spiritual goals and plans. The energy is slower and more relaxed. Proper for success and prosperity spells. So, money and growth spells in July. It's a good thing. This month is the time to start preparing for the colder and darker months ahead. Okay, because you have the Holly King and the Oak King battling at this point, ready to go into the darker side of things, and we'll talk about that again later. But right now, the Esbats. Okay, trying to stay focused. Alright, August is the time for harvesting, gathering, and appreciating. The energy flow is slowing more, and now is time of vitality, health, and friendships. So gathering and celebrating together, dancing, having a good old time. You know, generally, not a lot is going on in August as far as doing spell works for particular things, unless you have, say, a broken friendship or a friendship that needs strengthening more, or to get back in touch with your friendship side whenever you and your lover are forgetting that aspect of your relationship. You know, so friendships. Energy, exercising, getting out, exercising a lot more. You're fixing to start packing on a lot of weight for the winter time, or in the winter time. And so you might want to start your exercise regimen and your diets and all of that at this point in time. You know, and that's not on the page that I'm reading, but that's just my suggestion for you, so that you don't let yourself get sloppy, overweight, or more overweight, or drawn down and all of that over the winter time. It's just not good. It's not healthy. So August is good to get that vitality going. Get your goals in order for those health ideas. For your friendships, you might do some spell works there. For your love relationship, I think that August is really good because in Leo, it's all right there, passionate and romantic, you know. So, you know, pay attention to that kind of stuff in your full moon in August. Okay? Now, September is the time for organizing, straightening things up. You know, physical, still doing the physical thing, getting yourself into physical order, getting rid of spiritual clutter, kind of balancing out, evaluating everything you've learned through the year, deciding what you want to make a part of you and what you don't want to let be a part of you. Okay? Let's see. Your mental and emotional goals. Work toward your mental and emotional things to make you feel good or happy about yourself is good at this time, because you're starting to roll back into winter and you need to make yourself feel a little more amped for those times so you don't get too drained down at those points or times. So where your September is more emotional and mental, you know, as far as preparation for the winter time, your August would be more preparation physically, as well as the other ritualistic ideas that I've given you for those months, you know. Alright, also in September, the energy flow is resting, and light and dark are now in balance. You know, they're even with each other. One or the other is not battling or winning over one or the other. It's kind of in a balance together. At that point in time, they're even. And this is September. Okay. October is the time for inner cleansing. Meditating the laws of karma and thoughts of reincarnation. Evaluating the old crone aspect of the goddess Diana is a good idea. But balancing out within your older ideas. Evaluating everything to do with your life, deciding what you may want to take with you into your next life, or what you might want to remember in your next life, or what you might not want to remember. You know, if you aren't too happy with some aspects of yourself, this is a time to work on it and decide you're just going to leave that alone, let it go, and not even let it be a part of your life in your reincarnational next life, if you believe in reincarnation, or into your life beyond, you know, this life, if you believe in the moving on into being part of the God system. Okay, so your October is about death, really. I mean, when you think about it, it's Samhain, the veil's lifted, it's time to pay homage to all of those that have died in the year past, and so forth. This is no less the same, only you're killing off aspects of yourself that you don't like, or, you know, cleaning out old garbage that you don't need so that you can make room for all the new stuff to come in the near future. Inner cleansing is what they say on this page, and I'm going back to their page because I've been giving you my take on the matter, is the time for cleansing. Meditate on the laws of karma and thoughts of reincarnation. This is the time of letting go. Letting go. Well, that's what I just said before I read that. Mind you, people, I've read through this briefly, but it was ages ago. Okay, so, letting go. Alright, justice. Justice. A time for justice. If someone has been wronging someone and you know for a fact that it's the truth, it may be a time to do spell works to help the wheels of justice spin in the right direction to capture that person that has wronged man or humanity, or the God system, or whatever. You know, it's a time for justice, which goes with the Librian, my birth sign, by the way. So it makes a lot of sense. And balance, part of the Librian sign as well. The inner harmony. Finding your inner harmony. Makes sense along with the balance scales also. Finding your inner harmony is very important. This is the stuff that you work on in October. Alright? November is a month of transformation. It is a time to prepare for the coming winter and time to strengthen communication with the God or Goddess that you feel most kindred with. The energy flow is taking root and preparing to flow once more. Okay, well, you know, we all know that in the winter months, at the beginning of the winter, you know, we all feel brisk, full of life. Energy is coming about and making us feel really good. Or at least it does with me. I don't know if I want to speak for everybody else on that. But I feel like it's the same with a lot of different creatures. You see the rabbits and deer and all of that coming out more. You know, they're all feeling frisky and brisky, you know. And, you know, that's what November does for everybody and everything, you know, for the most part. You know, and for your plans. And, you know, the energy is flowing very strongly, especially if you've started doing what I told you to start doing back in August, you know, into, you know, your full moon rituals. You know, preparing yourself, grooming yourself for the upcoming winter. And you'll feel really good by the time November gets here. Anyway, this is a time for strengthening communication. And I say not only with your god and goddess, like the paper that I'm reading is actually saying, but with everybody, everything, especially your mate, your consort, you know, and with your god and goddess, okay? Communication, very important here. Also, getting in touch with the energy in your roots and bringing it up and feeling the life and the zest inside of yourself and celebrating that, okay? So that's what November is all about. Now December is a time for spiritual paths, evaluating your life, looking back on your past, deciding where you want life to go for yourself, where you want it to be, how you feel about things, you know, in general. The earth tides are turning and it is time to reach out to friends and family. November kind of started moving us into that with the communication deal. And December is going into full force, and it's a time of holiday and festivities, so why not? You know, it's a time to be around family and friends and feel the love of the people around you. You know, and it can be a lonely time if you let it, but that's what these rituals and celebrations are in place for, is to prevent all of that. You know, you've gotten in touch with the roots of your deities in November. You've started strengthening those ties of communication between the gods and goddesses and yourself and your friends and loved ones, you know, is now a part of that, you know, strengthening all those ties, celebrations, you know, from, say, just before Thanksgiving on through, you know, December into January, you know, back into January, which is where we had began on this. This is the month of death and renewal. We all know the earth dies in December, so that it could, from the ashes, from its remnants, can spring forth new life, fertilized by that which was, okay? This is the month of death and renewal. Spells should be aimed at, let's see, endurance and provision, okay, to carry through what your provisions, your harvestings, the things that you have left, your foods and all of that. You know, you want to do spell works to help things to be more bountiful at this point, but more than that, to help keep things tied over, to stretch things out, to help things go to where they need to go. Let's see, the way they put it, their tides are turning and it is time to reach out to friends and family, the lonely and the needy. Okay, so reaching out to those who need you, reaching out to those who are lonely. It's a time of socialism is what I feel that they're saying that this is. And it is. But you also have to stretch out your provisions. You have to try to feed everyone on a balance, you know, because if you don't, everybody can sit around getting fat and then run out of food, you know. Let's see. Do spells aimed at endurance. You know, remember I said that you could feel really sapped and de-energized around the end of the year, and about the time the winter sapped you would be in December. when you don't have much energy anymore and you want to keep going, you want to keep strong, well, do spells to do with that, as well as your provisions and stretching things out, feeding your family, things of that nature. And that's the best thing I can give you, and that's knowledge or wisdom from me, myself, as well as from knowledge and wisdom given online through different people. And I feel that that's pretty good there. Your full moon energy is used for banishing unwanted influences in your life. Protection, magic, and divination, planning, releasing, and workings to do with reversing things is done on the nights of the full moon. Like if somebody's caused a hex on you, you want to reverse that. You want to send it back on them, and maybe they'll learn a lesson or something. You know, they're only being judged by their own energy, though. You know, if you're reversing something, you're only sending back to them what they would put up on you. Unless you institute a tenfold law, and then you're making them pay tenfold for what they've done, and perhaps they deserve that. I'm not one to judge you. Anyway, this has been Lady Leeanna to do with the Esbats. I hope that you have a fair idea as to what the Esbats are and what you should be doing on those particular occasions. I'm not sure I went too much on how... yeah, I pretty much covered it all. The witches feel about that. The witches are doing their works for more personal things rather than spending it on other people so much, unless it's people that are desperately needing that. But generally, you know, there are no stronger moons than the full moons, and so they're being used very intently, you know, for getting done the long-awaited or much-needed stuff that has been on the witch's docket to get done. So, yes, I do implore you to use the energy of the full moon. And burying things in the earth on the night of the full moon, because of the minerals and ores in the earth and the power within the earth itself, as well as the strength of the full moon, especially if it's been raining that night. You should bury things in the earth to cleanse them and empower them at the same time. Well, this has been another episode of Wicca for Today with Lady Leeanna. And I hope that you've enjoyed this particular episode, outlining the Esbats, what they are, what they're called, and what you could do on them. I hope that this has really been a help to you. I hope it with all of my heart, as my heart and my soul is always with you. Bright blessings to you on your path. And with one final thought, stay true to your path. Stay true to your deities that govern you and your path, but most of all, stay true to yourself and to love, okay? But peace be to you, bright blessings, and merry part. Bye-bye.